So when I say the word hacker, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it, some shadowy figure in a hoodie surrounded by all that glowing green code? Yeah, that's the movie version. But the reality? Oh, it's way more complex and honestly, a lot more fascinating. So let's dive in and get past that stereotype, shall we? Okay, this right here, this is probably the most important idea we need to get out of the way first. It completely reframes the whole conversation. See, the word hacker isn't really about being good or bad. It's about a skill set. And what we're going to see is how that same skill set can be used for completely different things. Some heroic, some, well, pretty destructive, and some that are kind of somewhere in between. So on one end of this whole spectrum, you've got these like digital guardians. These are the experts that companies actually hire to find the security holes before the bad guys can. They're literally on the front lines, keeping our hospitals, our banks, and all our personal data safe. And then, of course, you've got the total opposite, the other side of the coin. These are the folks who use those same skills for theft, for disruption, for just causing chaos. And let's be real, this is the version we're all a bit more familiar with, right? But, and this is where things get really interesting, it's not all so black and white. There is this huge gray area in the middle where things like intent, legality, and ethics, they all get super blurry. All right, so to really get a handle on that gray zone, we've got to lock down the two extremes first, the two poles of the hacker world. Let's kick things off with, well, the heroes of our story. Okay, so these are your good guys, the ethical hackers. And the single most important word you need to remember here is permission. They are invited in. Their whole job is to find the cracks in the armor before somebody with, not so good intentions finds them first. So, how do they do it? Well, they use methods like penetration testing, which is a fancy way of saying they actively try to break into a system, with permission, of course, just to find its weak spots. But the goal, that's what's so key here. A white hat's job is to think exactly like a criminal. They have to anticipate their moves and then patch up those vulnerabilities before they can be used against the company. You can think of them as digital detectives or locksmiths, getting paid by companies to test their own locks. And then we've got the classic villain, the black hat hacker. This is pretty much everything that movie stereotype suggests. They operate without any permission, they are absolutely breaking the law, and their motives are almost always selfish. It usually boils down to money or stealing data. Yeah, and their methods are just destructive. We're talking about the ransomware that locks up entire hospital computer systems, or those phishing scams that try to steal your grandmother's life savings. This is where hacking stops being an abstract idea and becomes a very real, very serious threat to all of us. So, what's the big takeaway here? It's this really stark contrast, the defender versus the attacker, permission versus no permission, fixing things versus exploiting them. It really is the fundamental moral and legal line in the sand. Okay, but here's the thing. Not everybody fits neatly into one of those two boxes. So now, let's wade into that gray zone, where a person's intent starts to get a whole lot more complicated. All right, say hello to the gray hat hacker. Now, a gray hat might find a massive security flaw in a big company's website, but instead of asking for permission first, they just go for it. They hack it. Maybe after they find the flaw, they'll report it to the company privately, or maybe they'll just blast it on social media to force the company to fix it. So, you see, their intentions might be good, but the way they go about it, still totally illegal. Next up, we have the script kiddies. Now, these are not your elite genius coders, nope. These are usually amateurs who are using pre-made scripts and powerful hacking tools they just downloaded off the internet, often without really understanding how they even work. It's kind of like giving a loaded cannon to someone who has no idea what it is. They're dangerous, but not because of their skill. It's because of their sheer unpredictability and recklessness. Now, for this next group, motivation changes everything. A hacktivist isn't trying to get rich, they hack for a cause. They might take down a government website they disagree with or leak a bunch of documents to expose something they see as corruption. For them, hacking is a form of protest. It's like a digital megaphone for their ideology. But wait, the spectrum doesn't stop there. We're about to move from individuals and kind of loose groups to the most sophisticated and heavily resourced players on the entire field. This is straight up cyber warfare. We're talking about hackers who are basically digital soldiers, and they work for a government. They're not just targeting you or me, they're going after entire national infrastructures, defense systems, even elections. They have massive funding, and their goal is espionage or sabotage on a global scale. This is the big leagues.
And finally, we have one of the most dangerous threats of all. And it's not some attacker trying to get through the castle walls, it's the person who's already inside. An insider hacker is someone who has legitimate access, an employee, a contractor, you name it, who then decides to abuse that trust, either for personal gain or maybe for revenge.
And that is exactly why they are so incredibly effective. I mean, think about it. You can have the best firewalls, the best security in the entire world, but none of it matters if the person who already has the keys decides to just hand them over to the enemy. Whew, okay, so we have covered a lot of ground here. Let's pull it all together and take a look at the entire spectrum, all in one place. So this table really lays it all out for us, doesn't it? On one end, you've got your white hat, defensive intent, and hey, the only one here who is actually operating legally. Then, way over on the other end, you've got the pure malice of the black hat. And then look at everything in between. You see that full range of intent, the mixed bag of the gray hat, the ideology driving the hacktivist, the pure chaos from the script kiddie, and of course, those really calculated threats from state-sponsored groups and insiders. So if you take away one thing from all of this, let it be this. The skill of hacking, by itself, is just a tool. It's like a hammer. You can use a hammer to build a beautiful house, or you can use it to smash a window. The tool itself isn't good or evil. It's neutral. What really truly defines the hacker is the intent behind the keystroke. And that really leaves us with a pretty powerful question, doesn't it? For anyone who has these skills, or maybe anyone who's thinking about learning them, the paths are pretty clear. The difference between being a protector and being a criminal, it all comes down to a choice.